Then we came to Vizag plus two, and I remember I joined an RSS school, which was very kind of we had fun, but they had this fanatic way, don't talk to girls, and but they were not so intrusive also. But they had this definitely this propaganda, clear cut propaganda of you know being anti-Congress, no, the typical restrictions and all that. But we were rebels, so we used to go in t-shirts, and they didn't like t-shirts and jeans. They were anti that, so we used to wear that. We used to go from movies, lot of bunking, lot of movies, matinee show, first show, second show. Still, they are my friends. I had two very close friends, Rajesh and Naga and Lakshman Reddy and Bala. These four were my very close friends, and we used to laugh and sit together and go to hotels and movies. It was the golden days. It was golden days. And the beaches, the sea in Vizag. And then exams I wrote well. Because of my reading, I think exams I wrote very well. Like I was a topper, I got 96%. Went for tuitions also. C.N.R. Rao and Ramdas were the tuition masters. And they used to give homework and I was sincere. This natural sincerity I had. And I got very good. That time, due to percentage, I got into BITS Pilani. And that would be another experience. That was another very big change. In fact, it was like an upturn of my life. Because when I went to BITS, I realized that I don't know anything. I remember that day also. First year, second year, I think. First year just went away like a typical good boy. I was second year, I completely, for some reason, gave up studies. Naturally, like I didn't have discipline much anyway. Yet something made me give up studies completely. I remember one day I was just sitting in my room and I thought I don't know anything. I locked the door, went to the library and decided that I'm going to read all these books. And the first book I took was Crime and Punishment. I tried to understand that book. And to understand that book, I took another book to understand. Then I met these greats, intellectual at that time, Sethi and Satish. They were my two major gurus at that time. I was not much into women also, except one or two whom I really liked. But that was not my focus. I think that's to wanted to learn more. So always read whatever I used to find, I used to read. Left, right, and center, magazines, this, that. This reading habit, some obsession, some random search. There was no reason. And I completely left studies because in BITS Pilani, you could need not have to go to college. And if you get 4 or 5 marks out of 100, you will pass, which means you'll get E grade. And if you get some E grades and some other B grades and A grades, you pass out. But even now, I have this terrible feeling, I didn't study. See how ingrained it is that you must study, you must do a job that is so ingrained. Even now, I get dreams whether I missed exams or something. That much of kind of away from society I went. Then in my third year, I think I had close friends. There was a friend called PK. There was a friend called MK. I had very few friends. I'm a loner without knowing it. I'm a social person, but also a loner. And one of the things we had was plays in Bishpilan. Subhashish Ghosh was now my friend also, who does SPOH, Sudeshna Beacon of Hope concerts, in which he raises money for cancer patients. So he's that kind of deep guy, and I saw the most professional theatre plays that time. Death of a Salesman, Midsummer's Night Dream, Waiting for Godot. These are all classics. So then I started reading. So I was reading here, the plays are happening. Music was all night music shows. And again, movies. That 90s movies, the famous Bollywood had slightly changed. Now it can come to that kind of a Shah Rukh Khan thing. Akshay Kumar, that time, Ajay Devgan, that those people had also not come, I think. So 90s, sorry, 80s, not 90s. 90s came later. The 80s were still the earlier people. From Amitabh Bachchan, the next this thing. Amitabh Bachchan was still there then. Then the 90s was different, yeah. When I grew up, Shah Rukh Khan Shah Rukh Khan is my age, so it goes like that. Movies was there, music was there. We used to have something called OSS, which was full of celebration. So what I remember about Bishman also is what I remember about childhood. I did nothing. Just lazed around, read a lot, observed a lot. My relationships were very few. I don't, but they're very deep relationships, two or three, more like guru relationship. Like there was a guy called GT, there was a guy called Sethi, and they were very deep relationships where I could understand that there's something beyond these normal exams. And then that's all it was. And I started reading Russell, Thomas Hardy, John Irving. These are the major books I read more deeply, at least completed them. Graham Greene, Thomas Hardy, John Irving. I fell in love with literature. I think somewhere I got this book reading more deeply then. And then I passed out after 6 years because 1 year I failed. By mistake, I didn't even get E grade, and that makes you lose 1 year. The scary thing happened in second year only, first year only. I think I don't remember. So my whole tenure was not 5 years, but 6 years for a dual degree. But I passed. I got my certificates. Then I came out, and when I came out, I didn't know what. I did not even have a purpose. And by the time I had read very randomly, and I had lots of questions in one book, Outline of Philosophy, because I thought in philosophy I'll get all the answers, and I got no answers. I got completely confused. I did not know that philosophy doesn't give answers. I did not know that. I was very innocent that way. Then I read Ayn Rand. That turned my life because Ayn Rand gave answers to these basic questions from her perspective. But I read more than Ayn Rand because by the time I had read a lot already. So I was not a typical that Ayn Rand fanatic. I was not that much, I think. Though I loved Ayn Rand more than the normal fanatics. I was not a fanatic, definitely. Then I started this Ayn Rand forum. For 10 years, I started this Ayn Rand forum. So this was the post college. We'll talk about that next.